Okay, Marjorie.
All right, we're good to go. I call the meeting to order. And for roll call appointment of alternates, Charlie, if you would serve for the vacancy.
Yes.
All right. On to new business, receipt of new applications. The first item is CC 21-099 Wingate application for an in-ground pool in the wetlands. So do we have a?
Yeah, that would be Tim Goodell.
Yep. Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes.
So my name is Tim Goodell. I'm with Giuliano's Pools, and I'm representing the project at 9 Wingate. This is for the homeowner, Jill and Gavin Schwartz. This is the construction of a 22 by 36 in-ground 4-foot safety fence with surrounding patio. The area of disturbance will be approximately 15 to 20 feet around the perimeter of the pool. The grading will not go beyond the established lawn that's in place or the established land. The area of the future pool, as I said, it's all maintained land, lawn or established land. I also, Tom, I assume the committee has the narrative that I supplied as well. Just a couple of points there. We will employ silt fence, hay bales, and any additional resources that the committee deems necessary. We do recommend that the silt fence or the bales will follow the contour of the established land. And Tom, you've been to the site. I will say that I have not. You were there with Brian Giuliano, and so you've seen that established land. So we do recommend that silt fence or the erosion control barrier follow that established land. Also, just of note, there will be no stockpiling. We haul away everything. And also, we will use cartridge filters. The cartridge filters, they can be removed and cleaned elsewhere. So there is no implication to the wetlands. And also, at the end of the season for drawdown, that water is not discharged on the ground. We have the opportunity, and we generally do truck it away with trucks. With that, those are the key points. I'll open it up to questions.
Do you want to hear from staff on this? Because I have been out there on numerous occasions.
Yes, please.
In the staff report, I took a general picture of their layout, their first proposal, and in talking to their installation team, they've actually moved it farther away from the wetlands than first proposed. Still within wetland soils, but they are putting everything within the maintained lawn area. The vegetative and functioning wetlands seem to be a toe of slope coming off of that maintained lawn area. So with that, we were saying that was the highly valuable wetlands. Everything else was a soil type. It is wetland soils. And they did pull it away from the wetlands area in order to try to position it better to because there's a grading issue. There's some slope to it, and they didn't want to have to put any fill in to try to level it out. So when they do their basic installation, they're talking about doing the excavated soils that need to be moved out will be moved out. Anything else will be used to level it with no grading into the wetlands or anything, the functioning wetlands that I could see, because there's a totally delineated wet soil edge with skunk cabbage on it, and everything else was lawn that had trees, playhouse, and other stuff that they mow around and work on. The picture that was in Dropbox showed the general area where they first proposed it, and it moved back about, I would say, about 4 to 5 feet from that in order to maintain some buffer area to put a little bit of a hardscape around the pool so you can walk around the entire pool without having to impact the what I would notice to be the more functioning wetland area that retained water, had vegetation, hydrophytic vegetation. And in that, I think they have tried to adjust as best as possible. But due to the delineations, the soil types, even though it's maintained lawn, were wetland soil types. So that's why it is still a pool within the wetlands.
Yeah. So you're saying that the lawn, at the edge of the lawn, there's a slope further down to the wetland?
Yeah, I would say that it's probably about a 6 to 8 inch drop off at the edge. Gentle sloping. It's not a precipitous one like they've been pushing into it. It looks like the grading when the house was built. The house is, I don't know if it's 60s, 70s, or 80s. It's not super old. But you could tell that as it was built, they kind of tried to gradually taper it out a little bit. And what they're proposing isn't going to really affect any kind of flows into there because the rest of the property kind of all meanders down. The wetlands go all the way from their road frontage all the way around the back of their house, almost to the other road frontage because it's a very curved road frontage. So everything kind of just tapers that way.
And this was done before the wetland regulation.
Pardon?
The house was built before the wetlands regulations.
I believe it was built within wetlands regulations. That was something I checked. That's why I said I think it's more 70s or 80s if I recall correctly.
So you said that it was moved further towards the house than?
Yeah. Yes, they do have a wellhead that they have to work around, and they moved it as close as they could to the wellhead. And it was partly because of access off of their existing deck. It kind of moves it closer to the deck, so it's not a long distance to the pool. But it was also because, as we discussed it, if they wanted some kind of hardscape around it, I did not want them to go to that. I wanted to stay as far away from that slope as possible.
And it wasn't possible to put the pool, or was it possible to put the pool on the other side of the deck?
There is absolutely no room on that property. They are hemmed in everywhere. This is the largest area that they have of lawn. Yeah, if you go over to the other edge, if you start going around the other edges, it gets too tight or it starts falling into the front yard. It's and even even if it falls into the front yard, you're on the driveway at that point.
And then you mentioned about the trees, about the not stumping the trees.
Yes, there were some dead and dying trees. They've had falls in every storm that we've had so far. So they had a arborist come out and assess the trees, and they did some tree cutting. Obviously, in the area where the pool was going to go, they needed to cut some trees, but they also had dead and dying trees throughout the area that were over 30, 40 feet tall. So I allowed them to cut some of the trees without stump removal in order to protect their home. And then where the pool is, they're allowed to remove the stumps. And where they're outside of the wetlands boundary, they can remove the stumps.
Now, will there be a fence on the back side of the paved area?
I'll let
Yes.
Tim. Yeah, I'll let Tim talk to that. I think it's just around the pool area, if I'm correct, Tim.
That is correct.
So that will keep any further encroachment into the wetland area.
Oh,
yes.
Correct. Yeah.
And all the material is going to be trucked off site.
That's right.
And they also propose, I included the detail that they do propose one of those cartridge filters that we've had in the past, so that there's none of that backwashing issue that we typically are concerned about.
That's why we use it. That's right.
And since this is a wetland, the water table will be very high. And I know we had an application before us last time for a pool adjacent to in the upland review area, and we talked about the dewatering if the groundwater is high. So what will you be doing in this case?
If the groundwater is high,
Yeah,
we would over dig slightly and we would secure the base with crushed stone.
okay. And if the soil is wet, the excavated soil, if it requires dewatering?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, if the soil that you're excavating for the pool is wet, I mean, the groundwater is very high there. So what will you do for dewatering the soil that you remove?
If it's accumulating in the excavation, you mean?
No, I believe if she means if you have saturated soils that you have to move off site, do you have a method of dealing that with trucks or a dewatering area?
Uh, that I candidly, I don't know the answer to that. We would truck it off, but what we do with it, candidly, I don't have the answer
You're-
to that.
We're worried about the mud from the soil being removed, falling back into the wetland.
It's the
So-
transport, right?
Yeah,
You're
the
worried about the
transport.
transport.
This is Giuliano's Pool's job, right, Tim?
Yes, it is.
I think with 6 Victoria, they mentioned the trucks that have the
Binders.
the binder
Steel.
on the back in order to keep any kind of leaking out of it. You guys have the trucks to handle wet material?
Oh, we do.
That's
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
so the soil. It could be wet, so you will have the trucks with the seal to keep them from
Yes.
leaking. Did the other commissioners have questions?
I was just interested about how long will the excavation activity take, which is when we're sort of having the most sensitivity, I guess.
The actual excavation of the hole itself.
Yes.
It's typically 1 to 2 days.
Okay.
Typically, it's 1 day. Candidly, it really doesn't take that long unless there's, as to Margaret's point, if there are it's a high water table, that may take a little bit longer. But generally, it's 1 to 2 days.
Okay. Thanks.
Right. And anything else? Anyone have any other questions?
So I was a little I was just a little confused about the staff report where it said that that we had to decide about whether this was going to be a public meeting or not. So
No, there's been no public comment on this application since it was been received by our office.
Okay.
And I believe our receipt time has kind of changed some of the motions. I think we can act on this considering it's receipt time from.
Oh, okay.
We missed the meeting and it had been received in the office.
So that comment was from last meeting.
Okay. Yeah. And I was even in the interim of the last meeting, I haven't had any public comment. And even in the neighborhood, when I've been out there and Giuliano's and I were having a discussion, not even the people out doing their yard work asked what was going on. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry it couldn't be located outside of a wetland. I hate locating anything in a wetland, but it's interesting because it's cool in a wetland. Anyways, does anyone, if we don't have any more questions, any more discussion?
I'm good.
Okay, would I entertain a motion? Charlie, are you still have a question or?
Well, I think I have a question just about the procedure because I'm shaky on the legality of when we have to modify something that's in the wetlands. Does that automatically make it a significant activity?
You can say that it's a significant activity and still act on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that there is public interest, or if you feel that it warrants the need for a public hearing because of the significance of the activity, usually with significance of activity triggering a public hearing, it tends to be larger commercial operations in my history, but it's up to the commission how they view that. But it has to do about, you've looked at, is there a alternative, which there kind of don't really have an alternative from our discussion, but that's your decision. And then was there public interest? Was there a public petition? Or do you feel that there's a need due to the activity to warrant a public hearing?
Right. So if the answer to all those is essentially no, then it just because it's in a wetlands does not necessarily mean it's a significant activity.
No, but it is a regulated
It
activity.
is a regulated activity for sure.
That's the
Yeah.
line I was trying. I might have misspoke, but yes, regulated activity. Yes, is it significant enough to warrant a public hearing?
Right.
Being what it is.
Okay.
And it's sort of a remnant of the decision in years gone by, put houses right, half of the lots wetland. It makes it difficult to cite these things.
Half of my lot's a wetland on the map, so.
So I guess then I would move that this is a regulated activity because it is in the wetlands.
Second,
All in favor?
I,
I would move that it's not a significant activity due to the work that's already been done to move it as far away from the edge as possible, and the fact that it's on the lawn. It's not disturbing a great deal of existing soil.
second,
All in favor?
I,
And I would make a motion that we approve it, subject to the staff report and the recommendations on the for the silt fencing has been approved in the plan.
second,
All in favor?
I.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is CC.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Good night.
Next item is CC 2110 for 292 Bushy Hill Road, filling and grading of side yard in the upland review.
I'll speak to this one first. This is the one that we talked about that I was going to put on the last agenda, but considering we've had a meeting and a missed meeting, I was able to put it on this agenda. This is our after the fact. Mr. Harris, who is with us right now, had a issue with his neighbor draining onto his property. This is all work in the upland review area. He exceeded what under state statute would be considered a landscaping clause by they allow under state statute to have minor grading and filling in the upland review area for landscaping means and issues, disturbances and whatnot, without needing a permit. But he brought in more material than I would consider just a minor landscaping activity. Like I said, it was, I believe Mr. Harris could speak to it, but I believe it was somewhere around the 60 to 80 feet away from the wetlands between him and his neighbor, brought in some topsoil and fill and hydro seeded the activity when it was done for grass growth. He sent me pictures prior to last meeting that showed grass already being established. This came to our attention from my boss having a drive-by and just noticed it, and then the neighbor having made a call asking about what was going on. And with that, I'll let Mr. Harris pick up the conversation and let you know what he did and why he did it.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, again, this is Harold Harris. I just wanted to start off by apologizing. We didn't know that we needed to pull a permit for this type of work. So, we're sorry about that. We would have pulled it if what we did was we brought in a triaxle of fill and, we just graded it to fill it in a little bit. Left side was a pretty significant slope, which grass wouldn't grow. So we filled that in, graded it, hydroseeded it, and that's what we did. And there's no change to drainage. It actually improved the situation, where my neighbor is draining water on our property. It actually improved it. It's still flowing on my property like it was before, but it's not pooling in the front where it has been for the last couple of years. So that's what we did.
So, Mr. Harris, where is it draining now? Where it was draining through a swale in your backyard?
Yes.
And
yes.
now where is it draining?
So it's still draining in the same exact spot where it was. It's just not pooling in our front yard. I mean, like the property line is on our yard and my neighbor's, and it was pooling in the front. That has not happened. And there's still a swale there, going to my backyard. So, it's like I said, now that there's grass actually growing, it's improved it where it's not pooling in the front. It's just still flowing from his drainage pipe down the side of my yard and into my backyard.
Okay, looking at the black and white picture with the fence, is that the side yard or is that's the back?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
did.
side,
And is the swale between the light area where the grass is and the dark area? That's where the swale is?
correct. And his
Correct.
backyard is
Yep.
behind the white fence, and the wetlands are to the rear in the back.
Okay, all right. And is the swale vegetated?
His neighbor's side had, when I went out, had grass established, and his grass had been establishing. I'm sorry for the black and white, but the black and white, the darker color was his grass. When I went out past it in the last few days, the grass is still establishing fine and filling in quite well. And on the neighbor's side, to the left of the mottled coloring, the left of the fence is grass on his neighbor's side.
So in the side yard, there was more of a drop off from the side of the house down to the swale. Is that, and that was
Yeah. Which, like I said, grass wasn't really growing. I don't know why, but it wasn't. So we put in the fill just to kind of even it out a little bit without affecting that swale. And I think it looks actually a lot better.
And I noticed in your plans, I mean, this doesn't have anything to do with, I noticed you have a rain garden in your front yard.
There's one in the rear.
Oh, in the rear.
Um,
All right.
yeah, it was there when we bought the house
Okay.
for another drain.
All right. Is that still being maintained as a vegetative?
Yes,
area?
yes. Yep.
All right. Do commissioners have any questions? Joe, Charlie? No? All right. Then I would entertain a motion.
I'll motion that this is a regulated activity as it,
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I'm sorry, are we gonna do it as received and delegated to agent for approval or as it says in the,
Yeah, I mean, it's an
we-
after the fact. You can do it either way because it's been so long since it got received. Again, it's a little bit different than it was at the last meeting. So
okay, all right. So go ahead, Jason. Sorry to interrupt.
I'll motion that we find that it's a regulated activity as it occurred in the upland review area and falls outside of the landscaping exemption.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
I motion that we find that it is not a significant activity as it didn't really cause any disturbance and possibly improved things for the wetlands.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I motion that we approve the application after the fact.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you for coming before us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, old business, CC 21-8, 20 Terriffill Road, application for a self-storage facility within the upland review. And good evening.
Good evening. Terry Hahn, Principal, LADAPC, we're the site planners for the project. I have a short presentation if that would be okay.
Yes.
Do it this way. Hang on. Okay. So this is 20 Terriffill Road. The Terriffill Road, as it hits Hot Meadow Street, 10 and 202, there's an existing old well restaurant. This is the property that's also on St. John's Place, and it runs from St. John's Place, Terriffill Road, out to the Farmington River. The old well restaurant has been there for quite some time. It is has a very large parking lot to the rear for other times when it was much more busy there. And it also contains 2 residences and a small garage and self-storage area. The area that we're talking about for the construction is the flat area at the top of the slope off the edge of the pavement, which is formerly a field. The wetland on this property is associated with the Farmington River floodplain. When you look at the land goes up to the stream bank, and then it goes back in a fairly level plane, goes up another hill, and is that back parking lot that we saw here. So that's up at the top of the hill. A number of years ago, we had a letter of map revision with FEMA to establish where the flood limit was, what the elevation was. On this drawing, it is the dark blue line here, which was established at elevation 154.2 feet. And that the wetland itself is located at the bottom of the hill, basically. There's a hill that goes up here. And so this is all floodplain soils. The old well building is here. Residential buildings are here, and there's a storage garage area here. The parking lot is in this location, and that field that we were talking about was here. We're in the upland review area, and there's approximately 73,000 square feet of upland review area on the site. We do have an existing storm discharge pipe that picks up all of the drainage untreated from the parking lot and discharges it down into this area here. When you're looking at the site, there's an existing drive that wraps around at the top of the hill that goes to serves those 2 buildings in the back. The 100-foot upland review area is approximately, sort of about a third of the way through the field. What we're proposing to do is to remove a large portion of the pavement and that would become self-storage. So that this area from this line here over would remain parking for the restaurant. This pavement would be removed. There'd be a self-storage building this way, and we would work towards the field for the rest of the self-storage project. So looking at the drawing, just for orientation, Terriffill Road is down at the bottom. Farmington River is over on the right-hand side. This is our wetland line. Up here is the upland review, the 100-foot upland review area. What we're proposing is an infiltration basin and a filter strip to be located off our pavement. All pavement is now all new pavement is out of the upland review area. The storm basin is designed, according to the town engineer, to handle up to the 100-year storm. It's a full infiltration system. There is an update that needs to happen to the existing pipe, and we are going to put a new plunge pool at the bottom to address some erosion issues that have occurred at the existing pipe. Our overall disturbance, including changes to the existing parking area, is about 4.1 acres, and we are disturbing 0.6 acres of the upland review area. We've also included a erosion control plan, and pretty much have that's pretty much it.
So all of the activity will be outside of the 100-year floodplain.
That's correct. The existing driveway, it's a little hard to tell. Hang on, I've got a better picture. Let me get this just all by itself so you can see it. It's this one. Okay, that's just a better picture. So the way this works, whoops. Here you can see the bottom of the hill.
Oh, you can. No,
and you see that? No, okay.
No.
All right, sorry. You can't. I just pulled it up and not hit the share. Sorry. Okay.
It happened.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Let's I can so when you're looking at this, the wetland is down at the bottom of the hill. Then you've got the hill. There's an existing driveway. Everything is to the left of the existing driveway. all the disturbance. And this is the edge of the upland review area. So the main project is outside of the upland review area. We're just putting our storm drainage here. And there is a significant distance between that storm drainage. Still, there's a gravel drive, the top of the hill before there's any the water currently sheet flows over the top of that hill, but we'll be collecting it into an infiltration basin.
Can you talk a little bit more about the discharge pipe you had at the bottom? I'm still, once you have the infiltration basin, is that sending the water down to the existing?
Any overflow would go there, where we've already done test pits and permeability tests, so we've got really good soils there. So when they run their drainage calculations, they're always very, very conservative. So if there is any discharge, then it just comes through the existing pipe and then into the plunge pool. So it is an existing 15-inch pipe. We are not proposing to expand on that in any fashion. It's really just for the overflow purposes. Any of the low storms, we're not actually expecting any discharge. There will still be discharge, obviously, from the existing pavement, but we're reducing the amount of impervious surface that comes through this area. And we will be adding a hydrodynamic separator in order to treat that, which is not currently treated.
Well, okay. Okay. I guess that was one of my big questions is so part of this work is in fact reworking this drainage for the existing parking lot as well and getting it treated.
That's correct. Yeah, we can't really do one without the other, and it gives us an opportunity to treat that water, which is currently not being treated at all.
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, if it's on the same subject, go ahead. I have a different question.
Go ahead.
Just regarding floods, I remember, I think it was 2004, 2005, we had real bad flooding in that ame.
That's correct.
And that was at or below the 100-year
That's
flood.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't come across the top here.
Okay.
It was down probably at between the 152 and the 153 contour.
Okay.
I mean, we all drove around to see where all those flood limits were at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just remember that area. A good portion of it was underwater, and that was so long ago. I don't remember exactly where. That was my only concern. Okay. Thank you.
So what was the difference between the impervious surface before and after?
Okay, so hold on, I know the answer to this. We are adding approximately 2 acres of additional impervious surface.
Right. But offset by the detention basin.
Right, it's actually an infiltration basin.
Infiltration, I'm sorry.
Yes, yep. Yeah, we just, in order to satisfy the requirements of the town engineer, he always likes belts and suspenders, so we have to do an overflow.
Good. And will there be any planting on site?
There will be planting within the filter strip. We can only do the state of Connecticut, their stormwater manual doesn't, I was going to put all kinds of shrubs and everything in there, but they like it to be grass, but we will be putting some trees in there. Yeah, I was a little surprised. There is a significant wooded cover on this slope, so we would not be removing any of that.
All right. Are there any invasives there?
There's some invasive along the edge. Most of the invasives are down in the floodplain. So we weren't really planning on, sort of disturbing any of that area. Because I think once you start, you can't stop.
But no other plantings.
We probably put some additional plants up at the front, sort of dress it up.
Yep.
And then I'm going to have some plantings all on the back of this, along this edge here. There's a little bit of swale that goes in there, but we'll put some shrubs and other plantings.
And what kind of?
And we also have there's a significant screening that's going in the back, but it doesn't have anything to do with the upland review area.
Okay. As from a conservation commission point of view, will those plants be native?
The screen plantings will be spruces and pines. The shrub planting over here, I think we're going to go for native shrubs in this area here. For the planting in the filter strips, we'll probably go with red maples, just also something that native trees. Maybe we can get a couple of sycamores in there, something that can handle a little bit of water.
Good. That would be I think the preference of the commission to use the native plants, especially with your proximity to the farm and the river. You don't want
Understood.
more non-natives.
Understood.
Yeah. Do the commissioners have any questions? Have we lost Joe? No, he must be at the bottom. Sorry.
There.
There you are, Joe.
Good, everybody.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I'm good.
Right. And when will the construction hopefully begin?
Well, we have to go through zoning, so we'll start that process. So, maybe end of summer, fall, but I'll let Stephen speak to that.
Sorry, had to find the button. Yeah, no, we're hoping
Stephen,
to.
I'd like to address, identify yourself for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen Antonio. My wife, Lisa Antonio, is also here. We own all the properties jointly, so the full team's here. This is something we've been working on for about 6 months, and we are hoping to break ground this fall. There is no end time limit, if you will. So if we hit bumps or need to consider anything that we didn't have the forethought, Terry Ann's been doing a great job as far as crossing T's and dotting I's. But our goal, to be direct, is, to start this fall. Pending availability of tradespeople, to be direct. We also have a renovation at the restaurant that we're hitting a little bit of a bump, finding tradespeople to actually do the work.
I feel that
becomes a problem, that's reality. The financing of the project is done and in place. So it's really, that's the one thing that I don't have direct control over.
And the silt fencing is all in there. I'm sure everything is, all that civil control is there.
Yeah, I believe so.
Pay attention.
There's a full ENS plan set in there for silt fencing and everything else, and there will be a pre-con inspection as far as when the silt fence is installed for ENS purposes.
Just a brief summary. We have silt fence on the top of the hill. On the other side of the driveway, we have a line on the construction side of that driveway, and then we have an interim silt fence line before the basin, so that then we can use because we'll have to use temporary sediment basins that are not the infiltration basin, so it doesn't clog the bottom.
Good.
So Tom, are there any specific procedures, recommendations to go with the staff report for how this is going to be executed? Standard conditions?
Standard conditions should cover most of the activity here. All the ENS inspections fall underneath our office. So I'll be inspecting all the silt fencing. It's kind of one of the oversights that I'm the wetlands agent and do the ENS inspection, so that when we have these applications that affect inland wetlands, I've got an eye on the project. And throughout the project, just like the aquarium project across the road on Eno Place, anything that I see that pops up, I can have it corrected immediately for our commission's purposes. But as far as the activity itself, I don't see anything that falls for a special condition. Okay. It seems that their ENS is robust. It seems that the project is pretty straightforward. And the area is already pretty much urban land complex from all the asphalt and everything else that they've had out there for activities historically. So I would feel that from the topography and from the ENS, I think they've got everything covered under standard conditions.
Okay.
All right. Any other commission questions?
I'm good.
All right, then I would entertain a motion.
Sure, I'll make the motion. I'll give Jason a break.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yes, I make a motion that the proposed activity is a regulated activity.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make the motion that the proposed activity does not pose a significant impact to the wetlands.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I make the motion that we approve application 21-08, 20 Terriffill Road, self-storage facility with activities in the upland review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good
Appreciate
night.
your time and efforts. Truly. Thank you for what you do for the town.
And thank you for your patience from last
No
meeting.
worries.
No problem.
Thank you. I can go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome to stay.
Yeah.
No, you got this. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right, so the general commission business approval of minutes from April 20th, 21. Any corrections, changes, additions, alterations?
Nope.
All right, then a motion to approve.
I'll move we approve the minutes from the April meeting.
Do we
I'll
have a
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, agent actions. Item CC 21-07, 137 East Weetock Street, a shed in the upland review.
I've been so busy. I'm trying to refamiliarize myself as quick as I can. Give me 1 second.
Sure. Was
Okay.
this one that was going to be before our meeting when we canceled it for the Meadowwood?
No. This one's been around because it was part of the last agenda as well. It came before the self-storage. Basically, the property has wetlands kind of surrounding it. It's a remote lot from the road. The shed was placed on a gravel base. The closest wetlands are probably about 80 feet away. The farthest wetlands are hundreds of feet away. There was no significant impact. It was maintained lawn, and there was already a structure nearby that had been approved previously. So with the shed application and seeing the lack of disturbance, it met the zoning setbacks and it met just a minor upland review disturbance on turf lawn anyway. So with that shed, and let me see what the size was there. I captured the size. It was a 13 by 20 shed, so it wasn't a very large shed. Wasn't anything that was like a barn status or anything like that. So the disturbance was minimal. It was just a little bit of grade gravel and then putting a prefabricated shed down.
And when they graded it, there was no grass disturbance or any, I mean, it was just where they put gravel.
Yeah, if they graded anything from for where the gravel was, they used it to level it out. Nothing had to be taken off or put onto the property, and then gravel was just placed in that area after some filter fabric, and the shed was placed on the stone.
So it's been so long. So we need a motion to approve your.
No, this is just an update. Just an
All right,
update.
good.
Letting you know that I approve something administratively. I like to keep you in the loop just in case you want to
Good.
smack my wrist sometime for
Good.
overstepping my bounds.
No. All right. And correspondence? No correspondence? Or
No, I haven't heard from I'm still waiting to hear from the town attorney about wetlands regulation updates, and as soon as I hear from him, which has been taking a very long time, I will provide them to the commission for full review. I just need to iron out a few technical aspects with him as far as we never had legal fining schedules. So we need to do a new town ordinance in order to be able to fine for wetlands violations. So just between you and I and whoever's watching the video, we really don't have violation fining. Just so you know.
Okay.
But that'll all be ironed out hopefully by the end of the summer.
Other legal questions. The whole lawsuit that we're involved in, is that done? There's no more appeals to that.
What lawsuit are we involved in? It
Mr.
sounds-
Ryan. No, the Mr.
Martin.
Ryan thing.
Martin?
Martin, yeah.
This sounds before my time. I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, you might want to ask Mike Glidden about that.
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan.
No, Martin.
Martin, sorry.
Sorry, what was that?
Martin.
Timothy Martin.
Oh, Tim Martin. Oh, Tim Martin. No, that is, I'm aware of that one.
All right.
That's still in process. I think COVID put a slowdown on that. Mr. Martin has been proceeding with some advertising on his lot, to the chagrin of some people buying in the neighborhood. So we do get calls to explain what's going on. But we're hoping to have that wrapped up and then see what his ideas are and what is feasible and what is not feasible.
Okay. I just hadn't heard anything in a while. I know it got dismissed, but he still had appeal avenues or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if I think he enacted those because at this point in time, my office only talks to him through the town attorney. So I would say that that's still those appeals are probably still alive. And due to COVID, things have kind of come to a screeching halt. So hopefully that'll get rectified in 2021 so that we can move forward in 2022.
We can only hope.
So, all right, no other correspondence.
Nope.
Good. And conservation business. I have yet to write the letter to Dave Ryan, but I've got it on my list of things to do. And I'll be working with you, Tom, on that. We wanted to talk to the zoning committee about seeing about our commission. Thank you. About coordinating with the Conservation Commission because we don't really get that many referrals, and we wanted to see if we could get have an opportunity to get some native plant recommendations in the
Right.
I can't think of anything other things that we were doing. Does anyone have any of them?
Just an FYI, Marjorie, I did get your email with the bird stuff with the hyperlinks.
Yeah.
I did download it. I'm going to finagle a little bit, maybe try to dress it up with some images and stuff.
Good.
Before I try to get it on our conservation page.
That was going to be my question is, I'm not the plant or bird expert, but I would like to see some suggestions.
Yeah, well, I did send some links. I mean, we don't have to invent the wheel because there's so many good sites out there. I took a few, and that would help fill our mission as the Conservation Commission to do some education. So if we can get it up on the website, and there are lots of things that other towns are doing. So Joe and I have met with Mike Glidden, to discuss what other towns might be doing for instituting native plants use in their certainly in their town plantings, but also to sort of put more teeth. I mean, it's nice to say you have native plants in your planting. Yeah. It doesn't have any teeth.
I mean, I think a lot of
that ability.
People would be open to it if there were a concise place to get info. I mean, I don't know anything about plants. I kill everything I look at.
It's also a matter of getting, if zoning would have some ability to enforce it. We don't.
Yeah.
So,
just pointing people to like, hey, if you're looking to plant stuff, check out this resource and maybe pick some stuff off there rather than planting birding bushes.
And I did some of those links for plants for birds, but there's also plants for other things. Like we can do we can link to the pollinator pathway to plant pollinators.
Mm-hmm.
I mowed dandelions this year. My yard looked horrible when they all decided to seed at the same time. But
well, the cost differential between native and non-native, or a bird plant versus a non-bird plant, is nominal. It doesn't make much of a difference. And quite honestly, if it's native and the birds like it, it kind of takes care of itself.
Yep.
It's just as easy to plant. Sometimes harder to find, but easy. It's just as easy.
I have one more burning bush left. It's a little tiny one, but this year I plan to move that one. But all my big ones are gone.
Yay! You made my day, Jason.
Those went away last year, the last two. And there's still a stump of one in my fire pit.
And you'll see their seedlings for years and years to come.
Yeah, they spread.
The lawnmower can take care of those.
Excellent. Right. All right, so I'll see if I can get some more links to some other good sites so we can, and I will continue to do. I tried to look to see what other towns were had native plant ordinances. I hadn't found it. Have you found any, Joe?
No, we've actually, the Simsbury Pollinator Pathways, we've actually had 3 or 4 meetings, so we're trying to establish that. But we could that group could certainly serve as a resource for as far as native plantings, and that's one of the things that the group will be doing is putting up a website and providing resources. So maybe we could, link between the two. And Tom, I could certainly talk to you about that. We could maybe have a more in-depth conversation.
In order to point people towards a resource is key. And
Yeah,
if you've got a group
sure.
of people who are willing to talk to
Yep.
somebody,
Yep.
they can point stuff out and maybe do a
Right.
field visit
We
as
do.
things loosen up.
Yep.
So that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, we would want to serve, they would want to serve, and Marjorie's involved with this as well, as just, as a resource, for the town and certainly for, people in town. And, there seems to be a lot of interest for it, and rightfully so. I mean, the amount of burning bushes, I'm to just, add on to Jason's story, we pulled ours out a long time ago, and that stuff's still popping up in the wood and along the property. I mean, it's just, so invasive. And, I think it is important that people, when they plant, they, instead of that, or instead of a forsythia, you could plant a spice bush. I mean, there's a lot of good options, and I think it's great that conservation, the Conservation Commission could, would serve as a vehicle to promote, if you will, environmentally and landscape practices.
And it'd be great to be able to slide into a building approval for the residents that live there because we still have single family home lots that are being built. Hey, if you're considering a landscape plan, ask your landscaper about these things.
Right.
Yeah, and we can do it on a voluntary basis for that, but it would also be nice to get it into it sort of a
Correct.
town.
Yep.
I don't think there's a reason to plant any of this invasive stuff. Like, we know what it does.
Well,
You'd think so.
There's plenty of native stuff.
but the burning bush people love because it's bright red and it's still being sold, and it's
Well, I burned mine.
a hard plant to kill. So people like it. But I think I do garden club talks around the state, and I've got one of the talks is about invasive that says friends don't let friends plant burning bushes. So we got to get the word out. It's old fashioned plant.
I have to figure out something else to plant where this last one is. It's on the corner of her house, and I want to rip out that and these like evergreen shrub thingies that are just, I'm tired of taking care of.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things, if you all could keep an eye out on your travels or around the internet, if you could find out any other town in the state that has a, some sort of regulation for native plants. I would look at Wilton because I was down there, and they were, I think as a town, they've made a policy, and we could also go over the policy, certainly for the town, to only plant natives. But
the state should be on board, considering now they're all killing all the autumn olive that they planted along every single bridge abutment in the state of Connecticut.
I've got garlic mustard too, if anyone wants that.
Oh, I got tons of that.
No.
That's all along the bike path that keeps popping up. I run it over with the lawnmower.
Please, I have an old horse field. I've got it all.
That's everywhere. I see that all over. Now that I know what it looks like, I see that everywhere driving.
It's as bad as poison ivy, but it doesn't itch.
But you can eat it.
Yeah.
You can eat garlic mustard. However, you don't want
Plenty
to.
of it going around.
So there are a lot of things that we need to be aware of, and I think we should be getting more active with that. So if you see anything, if you come across a good website, just forward it to Tom. And but if you see any town that has a policy or any sort of regulations, I know it's hard to be the first one in the state to do something. But if we can follow that someone other, someone else, I think Fairfield was another place that we have to look. Somewhere down on the Gold Coast, they might have some regulations. So if you come across it, let us know.
Yep.
And we'll go from there. All right. Any other issues? Conservation business. Anything else we'd like to address? All right. Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
motion we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot.
Take care.
Have a good
Nice
night,
to meet
guys.
you, Jason.
See you,
Have a
everyone.
good night, everybody.
See you in a few weeks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.